Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to try and beat Pokemon Heartgold with only fighting type Pokemon. But because that would be too easy, we have to add a few stipulations, so without further ado it's time for us to get into the rules. Rule number 1. I can only use first form fighting type Pokemon in battle. Those Pokemon include Machop, Mankey, and Tyrogue. I am not allowed to use any other Pokemon, and they're not allowed to evolve, obviously. Now eventually I did decide to let Tyrogue evolve because you don't get it till late game, right after the last gym, meaning it's kind of useless at that point, so if you don't let it evolve you're not going to be using it. So I decided to let it evolve so I actually was able to use it in the challenge. Now for rule number 2. I am not allowed to use any items in battle except for held items. Now the reason I made this rule is so I can use Everstones, and that's literally the only reason. And now it's time for rule number 3. I am not able to teach TMs to any Pokemon, and I am only able to teach HMs to HM Slaves. Pretty basic rule. Now as for the final rule, rule number 4, I am not allowed to use glitches or exploits in this run except to get my starter, which will be altered obviously. Now speaking of starter, it's finally time for us to choose which Pokemon we're going to be starting the game with. Now to make it easier to decide, we'll spin a wheel with all 3 Pokemon on it and it will decide our fate. Well, it looks like we're going to be using Machop. Now with the Pokemon decided and the rules defined, it's finally time for us to get into the challenge. I start off the challenge by naming myself dead because you all know that I'm a little bit dead inside. Anyway, after choosing my name, it's finally time for us to choose our starter, and you guys know what starter I chose? Machop. Anyway, without further ado, it's finally time for us to get into the run. As for the name for my Machop, I decided to call it Chrisman. Chrisman is actually one of my subscribers. He's also a YouTuber as well, if you want to check him out. Speaking of Chrisman, why don't you say hello to everybody?
Yeah, man, what's up everybody? It's Chris, man, on Death Pulse Gaming channel. There you go, man. Go ahead and check out my YouTube channel too, man. The link is down there in the description box, man. Yeah, man.
If you guys enjoy Pokemon videos and Nuzlocke videos, definitely go check out Chrisman's channel. He makes some funny content, you guys definitely enjoy it. Also make sure you leave a comment down in the description that you came from my channel, because we're going to be doing a collab in the future hopefully. And make sure you subscribe to both mine and his channel so you can see that collab in the future. It'll be awesome. Anyway, on with the video. Anyway, after choosing our starter, nothing really happens until our first rival fight. If you guys are wondering, our rival chose Totodile, so it's time for us to battle. Totodile is not much of an issue. I take it out with 3 low kicks and taking a little bit of damage, and with that we have won the first rival fight. I decided to name a rival not Gary after I'm falsely accused of a crime I didn't commit just because I was there. That's excellent police work if you ask me. Anyway, after a brief journey we arrive at Bellsprout Tower, and Chrisman finally learns the move that will save this run, Foresight. If you don't know what Foresight does, it allows me to hit ghost types when I fight against normal type moves, and because that's all that Chrisman learns, it'll make the run a little bit easier. Anyway, after defeating Bellsprout Tower, it's finally time for us to go battle the first gym leader, Faulkner. Anyway, he starts off the battle by sending out his Pidgey, and I take it out with 1 Karate Chop, and it only does 3 damage to me with a tackle. Now this is going pretty well until he sends out his Pidgeotto. Now his Pidgeotto started off by using Gust and hitting me with a critical, knocking me down to 9 health in 1 shot, which is pretty disappointing. And then I hit his Pidgeotto with 2 Karate Chops, knocking me down to the red, and he hits me with another tackle, knocking me down to 2 health. And then unfortunately the next turn it outspeeds me, hitting me with Gust again, taking me out. Guess it's time to retry. Next time around I get up a Pidgeotto again on the same amount of health, but this time I don't get hit with a critical, so after hitting me with a Gust I still have 29 health left. And then I hit Pidgeotto with a Karate Chop, and then it uses a Roost to heal back up. Unfortunate. And then for some reason I hit another Karate Chop, which isn't a crit, but for some reason knocks it down into the red. I don't know what happened here, maybe it was like a really high damage roll, but like, I was doing like half damage, then I did all this damage knocking it down to the red. Doesn't really matter though in my opinion. Next up is Pidgeotto, uses Roost again, healing back up to like half health, but unfortunately for him I do hit a critical on my next turn with Karate Chop, taking him out and defeating the first gym leader, Faulkner. Anyway, after defeating Faulkner, it's time for us to finally head to Azalea Town. Anyway, shortly after arriving in Azalea Town we have to crush Team Rocket in the Slowpoke well, but it was surprisingly easy, so I skipped over it. Now it's time for us to battle the second gym leader, Bugsy. Speaking of Bugsy, he starts off by sending out his Scyther, his strongest Pokemon. I start the battle by using Focus Energy to increase his critical hit ratio, and then I take it out with a few Seismic Tosses, winning the battle, but unfortunately it does knock me down to 34 health. Next up he sends out his Meppo, which only takes 2 Seismic Tosses to take out. Last but not least he sends out Kakuna, which is pretty easy to take down. I take it out with 2 Seismic Tosses, it hits me with a Poison Sting, but doesn't poison me, and then I defeat the second gym leader, Bugsy. After defeating Bugsy, it's once again time for us to battle our rival. To start off the battle, my rival sends out Ghastly, using Foresight, and then he uses Spite and Mean Look, wasting 2 turns, and then I take it out with 2 Seismic Tosses. Next up he sends out Croconaw, which wastes 3 turns using Scary Face for some reason, and I take it out with 3 Seismic Tosses. What a stupid Pokemon. At least our rival sends out Zubat, and then it tries to use Super Sonic twice and fails, luckily for me, and then I take it out with 2 Seismic Tosses, winning the battle and defeating our rival once again. After defeating our rival, we have to head to the Ilex Forest. And now because I'm stupid, I forgot to catch a Pokemon that can learn Cut, so I had to catch a Paris in Ilex Forest. Sorry guys.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
In Ilex Forest, I decided to get rid of Garage Drop and learn Headbutt, and it's technically not a TM, so it's not cheating. If you think I'm cheating, leave a dislike on the video and leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely read it. Shortly after leaving the Ilex Forest, we arrive in Goldenrod City, and it's time for us to battle the third gym leader, Whitney. Now going into this battle, I was actually quite confident considering I'm a fighting type and they're obviously normal type, but obviously I was wrong, as you'll see. Now everything goes pretty smoothly against the first Pokemon, Clefairy. It uses Mimic, which is absolutely nothing because I haven't done any moves yet, and then I take it out with one Volta Throw. And then Whitney sends out the real pain in my rear end, Miltank. Now unfortunately on the first turn, Miltank goes for a track, which obviously is a really overpowered move, and I don't get to hit one attack, and then I hit it with one Vital Throw, doing barely any damage, and then it takes me out with a few stomps. I guess it's time to retry. This time around I get up to Miltank with full health, obviously because I didn't start last battle with full health. Unfortunately Miltank still uses a track, but this time around I end up hitting my first Vital Throw, doing a decent amount of damage and leaving Miltank on about a quarter health. Now he hits me with a few stomps, doing a decent amount of damage, but I get lucky enough to hit my next Vital Throw, taking it out and defeating Gym Leader Whitney. Now that Whitney is defeated, it's time for us to head to Ecruteak City. Now to save time in this video, I'm going to show the end of our rival battle. It was such an easy fight that I don't see the point in showing the entire battle. So here it is, the end where I kill his Magnemite and win the battle. Enjoy. Now if you're wondering why I cut this battle down, it's because next up is a battle against Gym Leader Morty, and you're about to see how long this battle took to win. Enjoy. Now the attempt you're seeing on screen, this is my first attempt, it's more like my 7th or 8th attempt, and the reason I throw this attempt is because if it uses Curse on the first turn, I can't win the battle at all, so I have to wait for it to use either Spite or like Mean Look or something. So on this turn it obviously uses Spite, so we can show you the run. Now this battle is pretty much a bunch of RNG. I have to get to almost the entire battle without getting cursed. If I get cursed, I pretty much just restart because I lose. So obviously at this level I didn't win at level 36. So it's time to grind up even more to try and remove some of that RNG aspect. Let's see what level I have to be to actually beat this gym. Now unfortunately I had to be level 55 to even get up to his Gengar, his second last Pokemon, on full health. And at this point I wasn't cursed or anything like that, so it was pretty good. But then it puts me to sleep with Hypnosis. The odds are smiling upon me and I wake up on the first turn and hit it with a Foresight Headbutt, taking out Gengar somehow. It was pretty lucky, I'll be honest with you. Like I said, this battle is pretty much 100% RNG. Sadly, Gengar is not his last Pokemon, so next up Morty sends out his Haunter. Now his Haunter does use Curse, but it's late enough in the battle that I still have a chance of taking it out, and I hit it with one Headbutt after using Foresight, taking out Haunter and somehow defeating Gym Leader Morty. This was a hell of a grind, but we did it. Next up after defeating Gym Leader Morty, it's time for us to head to Olivine City. Unfortunately though, the Gym Leader here won't battle us yet, so we have to head to Cyanwood City and battle the gym there first. Speaking of Gym Leader, it's time for us to finally fight the fighting type Gym Leader, Chuck, and prove who is a better fighting type trainer. Chuck starts off the battle by sending out his Primate, which I hit with a Headbutt once, almost taking it out, and then it heals with a Hyper Potion, and then I take it out with 2 more Headbutts. Next up is Poliwrath. I start off the battle by hitting Poliwrath with a Headbutt, knocking it under half health, then it hits me with a Surf, and then it goes to Focus Punch, and I hit it with another one, but it doesn't take it out, leaving like a 1 health. But for some reason it doesn't heal, it heals a little bit with a berry, but not like with a potion or anything, and then I take it out 1 more Headbutt, defeating Gym Leader Chuck, and proving we are the best fighting type trainer. After defeating Chuck and returning the Secret Potion to the Lighthouse, we can finally battle the next Gym Leader, Leader Jasmine. To start off the battle, Jasmine sends out her Magnemite. Sadly, Magnemite goes down to 1 Cross Chop. Next up, Jasmine sends out her second Magnemite. Man, these gym leaders really aren't creative. Most of them have like 2 of the same Pokemon. Anyway, Magnemite hits with a Thunder Wave and then I take it out with 1 Vital Throw. Last but not least, Jasmine sends out her only good Pokemon, Steelix. Steelix starts off by using Sandstorm and then I hit it very hard with a Vital Throw, knocking it down to like 1 health. After hitting it down to like 1 health, it heals a little bit with a Citrus Berry, and then it goes for an Iron Tail, doing a very little damage. And I take out Steelix with 1 more Vital Throw, winning the battle and claiming ourselves a 6th gym badge. Now after defeating the 6th gym, we can finally catch our second Pokemon, Mankey. Now if you're wondering what kind of billionaire I came up with for Mankey, I decided to call it Monkey because it's pretty obvious. Now after grinding Mankey up for a little while, we finally arrive at Lake of Rage. Anyway, you guys know the drill, it's time for us to battle the anomaly that is the shiny Gyarados. Now against Gyarados, I start off the battle by using Garage Drop, doing like no damage, and then knocking down to like 4 health with Dragon Rage, and then eventually takes me out with a Bite. Guess it's time to change Pokemon. Anyway, with Mankey dead, it's time for us to send out Chrisman to hit it with a Headbutt, taking it out and defeating the Gyarados. Good riddance. Anyway, with the Gyarados defeated at Lake of Rage, it's time for us to battle the Ice-type Gym Leader. Now against the seal, it's a pretty easy fight. I hit it with 2 karate chops, taking it out. But next up is its evolved form, Dugong. Now against this Dugong, I hit it once with karate chop, doing just over half health, maybe about 3/4 health, and then hits me with a roar beam and an icy wind, taking me out. I guess it's time for Chrisman to come in. Anyway, now with Chrisman out on the field, it goes for the rest, putting itself to sleep but healing up to full health, and then I take it out in one shot with Vital Throw. Last but not least, sends out his Pillow Slime, which goes for the Blizzard but misses, and then I take it out in one Vital Throw, defeating a 7th gym leader, Price. And that battle was priceless. Sorry for the pun. After defeating the 7th gym, it's time for us to head back to Goldenrod City. Shortly after arriving back in Goldenrod City, it's time for us to once again battle our rival. To start the battle, he sends out his Golbat, and I use karate chop on it, doing like no damage, and then he ends up taking me out with 2 air cutters. I guess I have to send out Chrisman. And because Chrisman's a badass, takes him out with 1 cross chop. Next up, he sends out Haunter, which I hit with a foresight and then a head by taking it out, but unfortunately I do get cursed, which is bad. Next up, he sends out his Sneasel, which goes down to 1 Vital Throw because it's 4 times super effective. Last but not least, sends out his Feraligatr, which knocks him down to 3 health with the water gun, and then I get taken out by the curse. I guess it's time to try again. On my next attempt, I get more lucky and I play more smart, so I get up to Feraligatr, both Mankey and Chrisman at full health. Unfortunately, Mankey starts the battle confused, and it's no match for Feraligatr's Thrash, and it takes me out, but I do knock it down to like almost dead, about 1/4 of its health. Anyway, and then Chrisman comes out and straight destroys Feraligatr with 1 headbutt. Next up, he sends out his Horn, which I hit with a foresight, and then hits me with a mean look, wasting its turn, and then I take it out with 1 headbutt. Next up is Sneasel, and you know the drill here. I hit it once with a fighting type move, this time cross chop, taking it out because obviously it's 4 times super effective. Last but not least, our rival sends out Magnemite, which also goes down to 1 cross chop because it's super effective, and once again we have beaten not Gary. After defeating our rival, nothing really happens until it's time for us to battle Executive Archer. Archer starts the battle by sending out his Houndour, which will take out with 1 karate chop. Next up, Archer sends out his Houndoom, and he goes for a 5-fang and misses, and then I hit it with karate chop, doing about 3/4 of its health as damage. Unfortunately for our Mankey, its second 5-fang actually does hit, taking Mankey down to 10 health, but fortunately Mankey gets to take it out with a second karate chop. Anyway, after Mankey leveled up, I tried to learn a move that I didn't want to learn, so I just cut the video. And next up is Coughing. Now against Coughing, I hit it with a Thrash, doing under half damage, which is actually not very impressive, and then it takes me out with a Sludge. I always wondered, why doesn't he have a Wheezing? Why does he have a Coughing? It seems like a very stupid choice, to be honest with you. There's been trainers before him that have Wheezings. It's just really weird. Anyway, it's enough time to send out Chrisman. Anyway, I send out Chrisman, hit it with a headbutt and knock it down to like literally 1 health. I can't even see that health bar on my screen right now, it's ridiculous. On 1 health. And then hits me with a Sludge, doing barely any damage. I take it out with a second headbutt, defeating Archer and Team Rocket finally. And now we can continue on with the rest of the important parts of the game. Anyway, with Archer defeated, we can head to the next town, Blackthorn City, and home of the final gym. Now, unfortunately, I got some bad news for you boys. This gym was very, very difficult. So I'm going to skip to the last round where I actually versus this gym. And I had to grind up quite a bit, as you'll see. So I'll see you guys there in a second. Let's get right into it. Yes, you're reading that right. I had to grind Mankey up to level 65 to even stand a chance to get this gym. But can I beat it at level 65? Let's find out. As you can see here, Thrash does very little damage to Gyarados, even with my overwhelming level advantage, just because of Intimidate lowering my attack stat significantly. Now this battle is a long draggy one, with her wasting potions on a Gyarados to heal it to full health after I get it down to red, but I eventually do take it out with 11 health left, but it's a really long battle. And now Mankey's pretty much useless for the rest of the gym battle. And unfortunately Mankey gets confused because of Thrash, and then next up she sends out her Dragonair. Now the odds are stacked pretty heavily against Mankey, but somehow it manages to break through the confusion, hit Dragonair with a Thrash, doing a decent amount of damage, actually over half, which surprised me. Now unfortunately Mankey's fight has come to an end because he gets taken out by Dragonair's Aqua Tail. Time for Chrisman to shine. Like always, Chrisman comes out with the wham bam, thank you ma'am, taking out Dragonair in 1 shot with headbutt. What a legend. Last but not least, sends out her strongest Pokemon, Kingdra. Now going into the fight against Kingdra, I was pretty sure I would lose because Kingdra has some really, really good moves. But then something happened that is unexplainable and it's never happened to me in the 15 years I've been playing Pokemon. Let me try and explain it. Now we all know Hydro can be a bit inaccurate, but here it was so inaccurate. She missed it 3 times in a row. 3 times, that's crazy. And then she tries to go for Hype Beam and still misses. So she missed 4 attacks in a row, which is crazy to me, to be honest. And then I ended up taking out with a few headbutts, so I didn't take any damage from a Kingdra, which is so surprising, considering I was going into this fight so scared. I was literally like screaming after a bit. I was like, yes, so easy, because I was pretty much drained at this point. I did this entire game in like 1 playthrough in 1 day. Didn't take any breaks or anything, so it was pretty ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, we beat Kingdra. Next up is Dragonair. Anyway, after that unexplainable event, her last Dragonair was not that much of a hassle. I took it out with a few headbutts. I did waste one potion on it, healing it back up. But anyway, it wasn't that hard, and after that we have beaten the final gym and claimed the 8th gym badge. On to the Elite 4, guys. Here we go. After doing a little test to receive the 8th gym badge, we go and collect the Master Ball from the Professor. But before we can go and catch Ho-Ho, we still have to do one more important fight. Now you're probably wondering what fight this is. This is the fight to get Tyrogue, so we can have our 3rd Pokemon and our final Pokemon for the run. Now I'm not big on like goals or comment goals, but I'm going to leave one on this video because I feel like it's worthy of it. So if you guys can hit 30 likes on this video and 20 comments, I will upload a video that I worked on a while ago that I never actually uploaded. I haven't actually edited it because it was such a mental drain on me. It was the hardest challenge I've ever done that after I finished it, I didn't want to really touch it ever again or even look at it. But if you guys hit that goal, the 30 likes and 20 comments, I will upload that video. I will put myself through hell to edit it, and you will see me go mad in a challenge video. It is the hardest challenge I've ever uploaded, and it is insane. But if I don't hit that goal, I won't upload it. It will just sit in the archive forever. So definitely please try and hit that goal if you can. So leave a like, leave a comment, and hopefully we can see that, and I'll upload it in the next 2 weeks if we hit that goal. Thank you very much. Anyway, after that shameless plug, it's time for us to finally get Tyrogue and go and battle Ho-Ho. So as the rules described at the start of the challenge, Tyrogue was allowed to evolve, but I wasn't able to like EV train it or whatever. I was just going to run around and randomly train it and see what it evolved into. So we got Hitmonchan, I'm going to deal with that. It's pretty good, I don't think that's bad. So let's see how this goes. Anyway, after a slightly long annoying cutscene, it's time for us to battle Ho-Ho. Anyway, with the mighty power of Buff Boy and 2 Thunder Punches, we take out Ho-Ho pretty easily. What did you think I was going to catch it? Nah, shit, I'm not going to waste my Master Ball on this crappy Pokemon. Anyway, with Ho-Ho defeated, it's time for us to head to Victory Road. Now, I don't know about you, but am I the only one that's been upset that Victory Road has never actually been a road? It's a cave. So, why isn't it called Victory Cave? It's always bugged me. Let me know if it's bugged you in the comments. As usual, nothing really exciting happens on Victory Road, but it's time for our last rival fight. Our rival starts off with Sneasel, which goes down to 1 Fire Punch from Buff Boy. Next up, our rival sends out Kadabra, which I hit with a Fire Punch, leaving him on a quarter health. Then he hits with a Psybeam, almost taking me out, and then I take him out with one more Thunder Punch. Next up, our rival sends out his Golbat, which I hit with a Thunder Punch, doing a decent amount of damage, and then it goes for Air Cutter, so I thought the battle was over, but it misses, and then I take it out with a second Thunder Punch. Next up, he sends out for Alligator, which I hit with a Thunder Punch, paralyzing it, getting super lucky there, and then it doesn't attack because it's paralyzed, and I take it out with a second Thunder Punch. Man, I'm getting super lucky in this fight. Next up, our rival sends out his Magneton. Now, unfortunately, our Fire Punch is still disabled, so we have to go for Ice Punch, doing very little damage. Also unfortunate for us, it manages to paralyze us, but luckily our Fire Punch is then undisabled, so we take it out next time with Fire Punch, defeating Magneton. Last up is Haunter. Now, unfortunately against Haunter, there's really not much a Buff Boy can do because he's already paralyzed, so it takes him out with Shadow Ball. Guess it's time for Chris Man to shine again. Now, unfortunately, his Haunter uses Curse and Confuse Ray, which is a bit annoying, but we still managed to break through, hit it with 2 headbutts, taking it out and defeating our rival for the very last time. Anyway, after defeating our rival and leaving Victory Road, it's time to battle the first Elite 4 member, Will. Now, you're probably wondering why my level was a lot higher than it was before. Well, it was only a little bit higher, but I decided to grind everything up to level 72, or around that level before versing the Elite 4, just to make sure that I could beat them. To start the battle, Will sends out his Xatu, which easily goes down to 1 Thunder Punch from Buff Boy. After defeating Will's first Xatu, he unsurprisingly sends out a second Xatu. And the fact that it'll be a surprise to no one, his second Xatu also goes down to 1 Thunder Punch. Anyway, next up, after defeating his second Xatu, Will sends out his Nicki Minaj. Oh wait, sorry, that's Jinx. I always get the two confused. On a separate note, did you see Jinx's new song with, what was it, 6ix9ine? That was a pretty dope song. Actually, no, it was pretty terrible, but, you know. Let me know in the comments down below if that was Jinx or Nicki Minaj in that song, because I don't really know the difference. Anyway, long story short, Jinx goes down to 1 Fire Punch. Anyway, with Nicki Minaj out of the way, next up is Executor. Anyway, because Executor is a grass type, I go for Fire Punch, taking it out in one shot, unsurprisingly. Now, to finish off the battle, Will sends out his final Pokemon, Soulsliver. I hit it with a Thunder Punch, taking it down to like 1 health, but it survives, and then he uses Amnesia and heals up to 4 health before restore. So I take it out with 1 more Thunder Punch with a lucky high damage roll, in one shot, winning the battle and defeating the first Elite 4 member, Will. Anyway, after defeating Will, it's time for the second Elite 4 member, Koga. Koga starts off by sending out his Ariados, which goes down to 1 Fire Punch because it's super effective. Next up, Koga sends out his Crobat and it tries to use Double Team to evade my attack, but unfortunately I still hit it with Thunder Punch, taking out Crobat in one shot. As for his third Pokemon, Koga sends out a Venomoth. Venomoth also goes down to 1 Fire Punch because it's super effective. Next up is Fortress. Now, Fortress is a very tanky Pokemon, but unfortunately for Fortress, Fire Punch is 4 times super effective against it, taking it down in one shot. Aww. Last but not least, Koga sends out his Muck. Now Muck is another tanky Pokemon. I hit it with Ice Punch thinking it wouldn't do that much damage, but it actually did about 3/4, so it only took 2 Ice Punches to take out Muck, defeating the second Elite Four member, Koga. Now at this point in the Elite Four, after defeating the first 2 members without taking any damage, I decided that at this point, if any Pokemon faints, it is unable to be revived or healed. Like any Pokemon that is still alive to full health, but if Pokemon dies in battle, up to this point I will not re-heal it until I have beaten the Elite Four and the champion, just to add a little bit more challenge to it, to make it a bit more difficult. Next up is Elite Four member, Bruno. This time around I started up with Chris Man. Let's see how this goes. After Hitmon top weights 2 turns using Dig and doing like no damage to me, I take it out with 2 headbutts. Next up, Bruno since I hit Hitmonlee, and then it uses Swagger because it outspeeds me, confusing me. Then I hit myself twice in confusion, and then it takes me out with a high jump kick. That was unfortunate. Next up, I send out Monkey. Now the Monkey's out on the battlefield, he hands a can of whoop ass over to Hitmonlee, hitting him with Thrash, taking him out in one shot. Next up is Machamp. Now this Machamp is the inferior Machamp because it's not my Chris Man's Machamp, so it goes down in one Thrash like a little... Sorry about that, guys. I have no idea what happened. I think we were suffering from some technical difficulties. Anyway, let's continue on with the challenge. Let's forget that ever happened, okay? Anyway, catching up to where we are on his last Pokemon, Hitmonchan. Spoiler alert, Hitmonchan goes down to 1 close combat, meaning we have beaten the 3rd Elite Four member, Bruno. And now that Bruno is defeated, it's time for us to battle the last Elite Four member, Karen. Now I start off by using Thrash on Murkrow, knocking it down to 1 health, and then it takes me out in one shot with Pluck, meaning that both Monkey and Chrisman are out. So I have to beat the rest of the Elite Four and the champion with only Buff Boy. Anyway, after sending out Buff Boy, she heals up Murkrow with a 4 restore, but I take it out in one shot with a Thunder Punch. Next up, she sends out her Gengar. Now I know I make jokes about me being an idiot at Pokemon all the time in videos, but I really don't make that big a mistake. But right now I make the biggest mistake a player ever made ever in Pokemon. Right now I use Foresight right here, right? And that's usually good if I knew any fighting and normal type moves. But Buff Boy only knows Thunder Punch, Ice Punch and Fire Punch at Foresight. I don't know why I didn't overlearn Foresight, learn another move. It's literally useless on Buff Boy because he hasn't got any fighting type moves. So I don't see the point. But whatever. So I use Foresight here even though I don't have to. Pretty stupid, I know. Anyway, even with that stupid mistake, I still managed to take it out with 2 Thunder Punches without taking that much damage. Next up, Karen sends out her Houndoom, which I hit with a Thunder Punch knocking it into the red. And then hits with a Flamethrower. I thought it would do a lot of damage, but it does barely anything. And then I take it out with a 2nd Thunder Punch. Last up is Vileplume. Now against Vileplume, I use Fire Punch, which takes it out in one shot, obviously because it's super effective, meaning we've beaten the last Elite Four member. And now it's time to battle Lance for the champion. Now to start off the battle, Lance sends out his Gyarados, and I hit it with a Thunder Punch, which obviously takes it out in one shot because it's 4 times super effective. And next up, Lance sends out his Charizard. Now I'm going to be honest here, I did not expect to one-shot Charizard because I did have my attack drop by Intimidate from Gyarados, but somehow I still one-shot it with Thunder Punch, which is pretty funny. Next up, Lance sends out his Aerodactyl, which actually outspeeds me and does a decent amount of damage with Aerial Ace, but then I hit it with an Ice Punch, which is 4 times super effective, taking it out in one shot. Next up, he sends out his Dragonite, which is also 4 times weak to Ice, so I hit it with Ice Punch, taking it also out in one shot. You guessed it, next up is his next Dragonite, which also goes down to 1 Ice Punch because it's 4 times super effective. Last but not least, Lance sends out his last Pokemon and his 3rd and final Dragonite, and I take it out with 1 Ice Punch, beating the champion and beating Pokemon Heartgold with only fighting type Pokemon. And now, with the champion defeated, we can finally enter our 3 Pokemon into the Hall of Fame. Well, that's it guys, the video is over. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like on it. If you didn't, leave a dislike on it. Leave a comment down below about what you thought about the video, if you liked it or didn't like it, and what your favourite Pokemon is in the comment section down below, because remember, it helps me in the algorithm. Also, we're trying to hit that goal we mentioned earlier, so we need to get 30 likes and 20 comments also, I think it was, whatever it was earlier on. Try and hit that so we can release that video. If not, when they're releasing that video, you'll never get to see it. So yeah, hope you guys can reach that goal, and without further ado, I'm out.